There's a new LEGO Batman on the horizon, and I'm very excited for it. I'm also what you might call a collector. I'm a completionist, and one of the best franchise in gaming to tickle that fancy, the LEGO games. Getting all of those collectibles and seeing that 100%, yeah. Well, I've decided to boost my PlayStation trophy ranking by going through and getting plat on every LEGO game. Well, every TT LEGO game, with some exceptions, like LEGO Rock Band, which I cannot even do without the instruments that cost an arm and a leg right now. We'll just chalk that to the Rock Band series anyway. There are some oddities we'll talk about later down the line, but this first part will be focused on the classic era of LEGO games. Of course, not all of these have platinum trophies, especially not the older ones. Almost all of them have Xbox achievements, which will be filling in those missing gaps. And I should point out, we're going for trophies here, so we will be focusing on the main console versions of these games, not all the portable versions. That's a topic for another day. Although I will acknowledge the first LEGO Star Wars as a starting point for the TT games. So sit back, grab a snack, and get ready for a nostalgic trip. LEGO Star Wars. The original LEGO Star Wars released in 2005. You can't get more classic than this. Well, I guess you could go back to the older games, but this is the first LEGO to take the form that we now know it as. With its level structure, mini kits, studs, character rosters, this is the real beginning of the TT LEGO game formula. The original game is humble. I did talk about this in my every Star Wars game ever video, so keep it somewhat condensed. This title covers the prequels era of Star Wars, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, which hadn't even released yet when this game dropped. In fact, this game released months before the film did, making this the first exposure of Order 66 to the public. I detailed all the prequel games, which honestly might be my favorite era of Star Wars gaming, but this game had such a unique charm to it that anyone could pick it up even if they weren't a Star Wars fan. The LEGO games are simplicity at its best. You break stuff, solve simple puzzles, follow objectives and battle bosses, all told episodically through 6 to 5 levels per film. Since this is the prequel era, there's heavy focus on Jedi-based gameplay. Most of the levels are constructed with that in mind. Force abilities to break stuff, or build stuff, or play musical chairs. Famous moments of the films are recreated and told through pantomiming. It's a fun way to simply retell the story of the films without needing to go into drastic detail. The game incorporates drop-in, drop-out co-op, so a friend can join in at any time, or you can play solo, although always accompanied with one AI partner as the game was made with co-op in mind. Eventually ending on the final duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan, which actually pits the two players together battling it out. Now for what we're here for, the completion. So, it's a little loose here. First of all, this game released during the 6th gen of consoles, so trophies and achievements obviously aren't a thing. And my primary goal for this video is to get platinum trophies, or 100% on every game. However, there's not an actual in-game counter for completion here either. It should be noted that there's no stud multiplier in this game, but there's really not a whole lot to buy in this shop. Not a lot of it's very expensive either. Theoretically, you could get everything in just 2 runs of the game, one for the story and one for free mode. I still found myself a little short on money for getting the last couple extras, however, but people have said that they've been able to achieve this with just 2 runs of the game. I got completion with this title in around 6 hours, give or take. It wasn't particularly challenging, again this is humble beginnings, so the stages are all pretty short and many of the mini kits were easy to find. Of course, in LEGO fashion, you can't get all of the mini kits in story mode, you have to go into free play, using certain characters that aren't available per chapter to reach not very accessible areas. You also have True Jedi, which is earning a certain amount of studs per chapter. And without stud multipliers, you'll pretty much have to break everything on the map to get the set amount of money that you need. Vehicle missions, on the other hand, which are a source of PTSD for players, although the only one I found to be remotely difficult was the pod race. That's mainly because it steers like crap and the timer gives you not a second to spare. There's no free play for the vehicle missions because you can actually get all of the collectibles in a single play. Once you get all the True Jedi on every chapter, you actually unlock the bonus mission. This is a little teaser into the sequel game, playing the opening on the TNT-4 from A New Hope from Darth Vader's perspective. It's a fun little mission to really build up your hype and excitement for the upcoming sequel. So to surmise, all we really had to do was get True Jedi once per mission, grab all 10 mini-kits, and then go buy everything in the store. There's really not a whole lot else to say for completion on the original LEGO Star Wars. It's very doable and most likely the easiest we'll come across. The sequel, on the other hand, is a much bigger game. This is the actual amount of time it took me to get 100% on 360 and get all achievements, which I already did for the Every Star Wars game video. For this one, I actually decided to knock out the plat for PS5, since, well, plats are my main goal here. So LEGO Star Wars 2 had a lot of releases actually. The big 3 6th gen consoles all got a release, but it was also released for the new fancy Xbox 360, making this and PC, I guess, the only HD versions of the game. 360 is the technically superior version with better graphics, which already is a much better looking game than the first overall, and it added achievements that are very interesting. Most of them straightforward, completion, all that, but then it gets pretty tricky. You have to actually beat all of the story mode missions without dying to get all achievements. I did tackle this and I actually posted that run on my gaming channel. For the most part, it wasn't too bad. There were some tricky levels like Mos Eisley or Jabba's sail barge, but the final level, that was a nightmare. I almost gave up on everything. I probably spent longer on that than the entirety of the first 2 films together. I had to memorize the best of my abilities on every enemy placement of the Death Star, as well as predicting the RNG. Now the PS5 port, you would probably expect to be the PS2 version, right? Right, that makes sense. Well, it's not. It's the PSP version. Don't get me wrong, the PSP version is awesome. On the PSP, it's basically the entire game unaltered except for lesser graphics. There's no bounty hunter missions and no 2-player. That really sucks on the PS5 port. Not to mention the visuals. The 3D textures themselves have been upscaled for the PS5 version and don't look too bad all things considered, but the pre-rendered stuff looks pretty rough. Something interesting about this port is that in place of bounty hunter missions, there's actually the 3 final bosses from the previous game, which didn't get a PSP port, although it totally could have. So that's a cool way to let fans recap the previous game on the go. Hitting each stage will earn you some characters from the level, so nice, you've already got Sith characters. On the 6th gen versions of the games, you could actually use the roster of LEGO Star Wars 1 if you had save data for it. Although the 360, you had to pay $2 DLC. But with these bonus missions, there's no mini-kits or True Jedi, not really a real reason to play free play either, but you do get trophies for completing them and some gold bricks. Almost everything from the main version of the game is still present in this port. You have the main story missions, 3 films, all with 6 levels. The length of these levels and their overall designs are much more intricate than the preceding game. My method I like to do for this title is clear the story 1 film at a time and use my funds to purchase the first set of characters, which should be enough to get all the collectibles and free play. Making sure I have a bounty hunter character, a stormtrooper, stuff like that. Characters that have exclusive doors to open or items to blow up. Now, you won't have any Sith characters until finishing Jedi, but if you have your old save data or play the bonus rooms first, you can use Darth Maul or Dooku. So finish the story, then free play, which this time also requires you to get True Jedi. The collectibles include, of course, 10 mini-kits you have to find scattered throughout the map, and finding red bricks, which can give you extras such as stud multiplier or invincibility. And without stud multipliers, you'll pretty much have to break everything on the map to get the set amount of money that you need. Now getting all of these is the key to maximizing your funds. The new addition here is challenge mode. This is kind of like free play, but you have to find 10 blue mini kits that are hidden across the map. They aren't as well hidden as the normal mini-kits in free play, and that's because this is a speedrun challenge of sorts. You only have to find the 10 to complete the level. You don't even have to get to the end of the level or complete the final objectives. You just have to find the 10 mini-kits and it's over. So basically, you have to beat each level 3 times. Except when you earn enough gold bricks, you unlock bonus rooms per film. This includes Super Story, where you have to play all 6 story mode missions in a marathon under an hour and earn at least 100k studs. Yeah, you'll master these levels before you know it. So that's a total of 4 playthroughs per level. Jedi is the most intense because the missions are the longest in the game, and many of them have these rather painful vehicle sections that could actually put you on a time crunch. You know, like floating around waiting for those freaking TIE bombers to finally show up with the torpedoes you need. Sometimes that can take way longer than it should. Speaking of, there's also these bonus levels that... whatever. One, you go around as a minifigure, blowing stuff up and trying to get 1,000,000 coins in under 5 minutes. The other has you doing the same exact thing, but as a mini-kit vehicle. I'm not overly fond of these, but you do get gold bricks for completing them. Once you finally collect all 99 of the gold bricks, you get the Money Fountain, which is a never-ending source of coins. By the time I finished A New Hope, I got the 2x stud multiplier. This is the first game to have multipliers in which you can increase your wallet at a much faster pace. However, I could only afford the first upgrade throughout the entire 100% run. Mind you, I did buy a ghost character. Afterwards, I just ran around the coin fountain, maximizing until reaching 4 billion in total, purchasing each multiplier as I earned enough for it, making it to where it takes a very small amount of time to reach the billions. And that's also a trophy. After that, I used the money to buy the remaining characters, extras, and hints. And with that, we got our first platinum trophy, taking about 17 hours, which is quite a step up from the 5 to 6 hours of the first game. This is the first plat in our long journey of completions, although the next several LEGO games do not have platinum trophies, as PS3 did not incorporate that yet, not until Indiana Jones 2. But 360 still had achievements, which brings me to the next game. Just a year after LEGO Star Wars 2, the complete saga released. This is a genuine complete package. Both games reworked into a singular title, giving the optimal experience. The complete saga of 6 films. Well, not anymore. In splendid LEGO fashion. Now, the original trilogy is pretty much unchanged outside from some nice little details or power-ups. But the prequels got a lot of work done. Better textures, proper widescreen support, and all the changes that were implemented into the second game are brought over here. The levels themselves aren't vastly different. They're still structured the same, but there are some differences such as buildable blocks, power-ups, or mini-kit rearranging. I did already get 100% done on this on the 360, the completion for this game is basically the same exact as the predecessor. But now, those blue mini-kits and extra play modes have been added to the prequels too. So get ready to add some more time to that 17-hour run. I've gotta play the super story and those bonus missions again. Well, at least the game looks incredible, and the gameplay feels a lot better tuned, which is why a lot of people feel this is the superior version. There's also this new bonus room featuring several extra levels. Some include original vehicle missions from LEGO Star Wars 1, the cut Anakin's flight level set during Phantom Menace, LEGO City and another LEGO City, and the original bonus level for the first game, the opening of Star Wars from Vader's perspective, and at the very end, a trailer for the next title, LEGO Indiana Jones, and he's an unlockable character. It took a little under 30 hours to get 100% for this one. And again, it wasn't very different from LEGO Star Wars 2, just a lot more extra steps. As for the achievements, it was basically play the game and get 100%. There wasn't anything crazy like the second title. This is still one of the best Star Wars games ever made. Not just LEGO, but Star Wars. LEGO Indiana Jones. Now that TT was done with Star Wars, it was time to move on to the next big Lucasfilm IP. Indiana Jones. Well, it may not have laser swords or magically telepathic religions, but it isn't short on adventure. Lots of unique locations across the globe, hunting for treasures. I mean, come on. What other LEGO game lets you kick a Nazi in the nuts? Actually, this is some dark material for a kid's game. Weaponize religious relics, child slavery, including playable child slave? My gosh. This is indeed some bold material for a family game. Needless to say, they pulled it off spectacularly. This is another fan favorite of the series, full of warm, nostalgic feelings for players. Another instance of friends who had never even seen the films but loved this game. Now, PS3 didn't have trophies yet, so I also chose to play the 360 version for this game. This title follows the Star Wars formula closely. You've also got 3 films here with 6 levels each. The levels feel about the same length as LEGO Star Wars 2, maybe a tad bit longer, maybe a tad bit shorter at some. There's no force abilities here, but there's loads of different unique abilities per character, such as Indy's whip, female characters jump higher for some reason, Willy has her iconic scream, short character abilities transferred over from LEGO Star Wars. I actually chose to play just the story mode this time first, to ensure getting all the characters that I would need. Those with shovel abilities, bazookas, or the officer, quote-unquote, ones, for opening certain areas. Most of the completion here is fundamentally the same. Getting the set amount of studs needed for True Collector, finding all of the mini-kits, which are called artifacts in this one. Each stage has 10, as well as 1 parcel hidden, which has essentially the game's red brick, giving you an extra to use in-game. So 18 of those in total. There's no challenge mode, none of those blue mini-kits this time. No bonus missions per movie either. Definitely a lot easier than the Star Wars games. But the real challenges come with the achievements. So most of the achievements are what you'd expect. Get all mini-kits, all true studs, all parcels, standard, right? But then you get to more, well, not really complicated, but grindy. Such as disarm 100 enemies with the whip, use the whip to grab 250 items, whip across 250 times, break 250 items, build 250 items. Certainly a popular number here, isn't it? I spent most of my time here at this game grinding the trophies post 100%, finding certain enemy spawns such as 100 kills for snakes, this mission for the 50 repairs, the final mission to use the blue book 50 times. There's some fun ones like defeating Indy with Henry. After completing the main story, there are some bonus missions too, from the opening of The Last Crusade playing Indy's first real adventure. Then there's Ancient City, which is your LEGO City equivalent, go around breaking stuff and getting 1,000,000 coins. And then Warehouse, which is the same thing but significantly easier because you can just keep shooting this, I guess? This game took about 20 hours-ish to get all achievements. Definitely not nearly as long as Complete Saga, and only slightly longer than LEGO Star Wars 2, just because of grinding some achievements. LEGO Batman. This will be our last game on the 360. One of my personal favorite games as a young one. I was really getting into my Batman phase here, with the Nolan films coming out, getting into the comics in general, and of course, my prolonged love of the animated series. And now, LEGO was merging with Batman. And to be honest, this was way more exciting to me than Indiana Jones. And personally, I do like this game more. I have no idea if that's a controversial take or not, but I love this game. I haven't played it in many years though, so I was very excited to revisit it. Of course, in preparation for the new game as well. Batman just made so much sense for being a LEGO game with its massive character gallery, decades of lore, and fantastic style. LEGO Batman has its own story, or stories. It's not based on any particular films or specific comic lines or shows, although there is a heavy influence from the Tim Burton and Schumacher films. You know, Two-Face and Riddler duo, Penguin and Catwoman, and the big thing is the excessive use of Danny Elfman's score from Batman '89. Not the other films or pieces, no. You'll be hearing the same loops of music in this one. You've got 3 different campaigns, all featuring a main villain who is recruiting others from Batman's rogues gallery to assist in their grand schemes. This approach reminds me of the old 60s show and movie. The first is the Riddler out to steal the city savings from Gotham Reserve. Each mission contains a different villain to be the level boss, as well as a vehicle mission, in this case the Batmobile. The big gimmick for this game is the bat suits. Ah yes, there have been a significant amount of those throughout the franchise, and this game plays on that by having you use different suits that all possess unique abilities. This makes up for the lack of character variety in the main story. These suits will also be upgraded the same style as extras with getting red bricks. The title introduced something very exciting for this narrative, that is, to let you actually play the villain's side. You can play the bad guys not just in free play, but in their own stories to see their perspective. This was such a freaking cool idea at the time, adding more spice to the game and letting you play your favorite villains as well as heroes. You get more insight on the story, and you can even see what little things interest all of them. This actually means technically each campaign has 10 missions if you combine both sides. The villain side makes up for the lack of variety in characters. You play as different side villains each mission, all with their own unique abilities. Characters like Riddler or Mad Hatter have their mind control. Mr. Freeze has his Freeze Blast. Using it to take out 50 cops earns you an achievement. The second story is Penguin trying to take over Gotham with his robot penguins. The last is Joker, of course. I think I played this one the most when I was a kid. Now they locked Gordon up at a carnival. At least they let him keep his clothes on this time. There are some fun achievements, like defeating 10 goons and 10 cops as Two-Face. Use the backbreaker on Batman. A lot of these are using certain abilities multiple times. Joker's Shocker, Freeze's Freeze, Super Throws, Scarecrow Scares, making people kill themselves with mind control, and of course, using certain characters to defeat other characters, like Harley smacking Gordon, and you've got to defeat Selina 9 times. Get it? Because she's a cat. They also carried over some ideas from Indiana Jones with the grindy achievements, but they are much more relaxed. It's all been greatly reduced. Build 50 times? That's it? Alright. And of course, you have the general completion as well. Find your 10 mini-kits, or memorabilia as it's called in this game, hidden throughout all the levels. Collect all the set amount of studs for superhero. Find all the red bricks for extras and suit abilities. And unique to this game is finding civilians that are being held hostage by goons and saving them. Now collecting all of these will actually earn you a character at the end. In general, the mini-kits weren't too bad, but there were a couple tedious ones. But the real pain in the butt was the sliding one in the second campaign on the villain side. This hurts me right here. That means I have to replay the entire level from the start just to get back to this point, which is like half of the level. Once you collect all superhero status in each chapter, you will earn the 2 bonus missions. The first is Wayne Manor. I don't quite think I'm as fond of this as Lego City. You have to activate these computers to play different style segments. This one here is very Mario reminiscent. It's easy to miss blocks that give coins, and after that you have this nightmare segment where you have to go and use these bombs to blow up these fan things. And then finally the Arkham Asylum one. Yeah, these bonus missions just don't really hit as good as the other games, to be honest. With that, it got 100% and unlocked Ra's al Ghul. I love this game. I think it holds up greatly. Lego Batman is still so much fun. It's interesting because, in a way, it's kind of the last of the classic TT games, because the next title is when they're finally going to try and switch things up. Lego Indiana Jones 2 is actually kind of controversial. I remember playing this back when it dropped, like day 1 I think, and I did like it, although I did feel that it wasn't quite as good as the first. And this was the first Lego game I remember people getting really upset with. I thought that was a bit much. I didn't think it was as good as the first game, but people were really ripping into this one at the time. Mind you, the big focus on this game was the new Indiana Jones movie. It was kind of weird to make a new game basically remaking the first 3 movies just a year after the first game came out, only so they could throw in the new one. Not to mention, Crystal Skull didn't exactly do well with a lot of moviegoers. I haven't played this game in over a decade, so let's check it out. This title forces you to start with Crystal Skull, and instead of a hub like the previous games, such as the Cantina or the Batcave, you actually select each film from the main menu, in which each film has its own open world hub. Like I said, they really changed things up here. They give it a real playset feel with the selection screen looking like a Lego set and box. This is also the first game on PlayStation to have trophies, so we are switching over to the PS3 here. Right out of the gate, I went ahead and knocked out the first trophy, which is killing Indy 3 times using Mac. You have to explore the free roam to begin the main story chapters. The levels are much shorter in this game, significantly shorter, like a couple minutes. Again, most of these are recreating what have already been covered before. There are significant gameplay changes as well. The general combat is a bit different. Hitting enemies doesn't feel nearly as satisfying as the first title, or even less pleasing having just finished Lego Batman. Indy's whip functions differently. Now you can actually like grab and tether enemies and drag them around. There's no whip platforms. There's actually focus on you using your cursor to aim with. After finishing the first stage, I decided to head back and play the films in release order, starting with Raiders. Remember how I said this game was much more condensed? Well, the entire opening act with the boulder is done in a quick cutscene. As you progress the story, you'll gain further access of the hub map, allowing you to unlock characters. In this game, you have to beat multiple enemies up before one with a question mark pops up. Then you have to beat him up in order to purchase them. There's also secret characters and extras hidden throughout the map which require you to destroy certain items, complete vehicle races, unlock vehicles, do puzzles, bonus levels. Each hub has 5 bonus levels, which are basically just large obstacle puzzle completions. I forgot about the vehicle missions. All right, this is the worst part of this game. The vehicle missions suck. You go into these small, uninteresting loops, chasing down other vehicles. It's really clunky. It steers so poorly. It's not ideal at all. This is actually, I think, the worst. Yeah, this might be the worst set of vehicle missions in a LEGO game. Mind you, there's still a lot I haven't played later down the line, but out of the ones I've played, they are really not fun. This title also had a real fascination with giant-sized bosses. We do get a fun disco sequence, very entertaining choreography here. After the main story missions, this is where things change very drastically. There is no traditional free play. Instead, you have treasure missions where you just have to complete them. Add these to the bonus missions and you'll unlock the super secret mission, which is another Lego City type deal. At least you don't have to destroy everything here to finish it. And within just an hour and a half, I 100%ed Raiders already. The next 2 films are very similar. You've got 4 condensed levels and a vehicle mission. Although at Temple of Doom, I experienced a weird bug where it counted my controls as 2, making me control both characters with 1 controller. That was weird. This is our second game-breaking glitch so far. During Temple of Doom, I got the trophy for using the bazooka 100 times. Temple really got screwed over. These levels don't do much justice to the films. Although I guess you could say the same for the other 2 films, but this one just feels so distant from the source material. Imagine if that's how the movie went. Crusade was a bit better, and I found this to be the most tedious hub of the original films. It was really annoying going around this one and looking for the bonus stuff. Of course, Crystal Skull was the big new thing, and it took the longest time, as it has 3 whole hubs dedicated to it. This is the general highlight of the game, giving the most faithful adaptation here compared to the other films, although the formula is still exactly the same. I enjoy the bar fight level with the greasers dancing to the cantina music. And the freaking fridge is a drivable vehicle. I know it's been a while, but I definitely don't remember this part of the movie. In Skull 2, I knocked out the trophy for beating 50 Russians with Mutt. Somehow, they made this scene better in LEGO. In Skull 3, I was really running out of steam, but I pushed through. I knocked out the trophy I was most worried about, which you have to destroy 100 enemy vehicles. It is really cool that you can unlock the alien guy and his UFO ship. By this point, you get all the character and vehicle related trophies, and that was it. All movies 100%ed, except the game overall was still only around 90. That's because there was still a section left to complete. The new big concept thrown into this title, Creator Mode. This was a really awesome concept at the time. You could use all of the assets of the game to make your own levels. Think of like Mario Maker, but incredibly more simple. There was quite a bit of backlash on this mode, specifically because you could build your own levels, but you couldn't share them. That would have been a really cool idea to share these online with friends. This required doing the tutorial, which was in 4 stages, then going in every film hub and buying all of the items that you can use, which classified as completion. And trust me, the money was not an issue at this point. Will earn 100% boom. But there were still 2 trophies left to unlock. One of them included playing a level that you made, no big deal, The last one, it wasn't hard, it was just really annoying. You basically had to replay every story mission in quick play. Quick play my butt, because you still had to wait for these loading times before and after missions, which totally killed the flow. But once that was done, the plat was ours in a little over 13 hours. This was still a rather linear completion. If it weren't for all the creator stuff, this would have been a lot shorter and significantly easier. No real free play, just finding artifacts per level and bonus levels. I think Indiana Jones 2 had a lot of really cool ideas, but you also can't ignore that it did feel a bit rushed. Understandably, but still, this feels like it could have baked a little bit longer. Well, either way, the next game is definitely gonna overshadow this one. Lego Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. You know, it is pretty difficult to talk about Harry Potter these days. I was a big Harry Potter fan when I was a kid. I read the books, I still have my first editions. I watched the films countless times, and I played the games a lot. I still got my copy of the Lego Harry Potter Creator game from when I was a kid. It's definitely something nostalgic for me to look back on, and I think the films do still hold quite a bit of merit, although I frankly just couldn't give two craps about anything that came out after Deathly Hallows. I just don't. Lego Harry Potter is easily the best Harry Potter game ever made. I'm sorry, Connect. You were very close. And these do still get modern support and ports, even most recently with the second remaster. And yes, we will be playing the PS5 version. It looks pretty damn glorious on PS5. I noticed a couple visual bugs, but they don't outweigh how good the game looks in general. As the title implies, this covers the first 4 books, or films. The game does interestingly go back to formula of the earlier TT titles, but with some significant changes and some things borrowed over from Indiana Jones 2. You have 2 hub worlds essentially. Diagon Alley is where you'll have your level select and all of your shops and secrets that you can find. This is your cantina, if you will. And then there's Hogwarts. The game interweaves main story missions with little side ones within Hogwarts, such as lessons and classes to learn new spells. You'll have 6 main story missions per film. As for the gameplay, it's very different and also exactly the same. All your traditional aspects are here, but the combat is reformed for more wizardry gameplay. You unlock spells as you play the game with a little weapon wheel, which all have different uses for unlocking chests, pushing away boggarts. You've got your green slot, which is your unique ability per character, such as Harry's invisibility cloak, or characters that have pets that you can use like Scabbers or Crookshanks. Wingardium Leviosa works a lot like the Force in LEGO Star Wars, allowing you to move items or build with it. Something I never really considered before, but this title is pretty drastically different in its overall combat. There isn't a whole lot, actually, compared to the preceding games where you had fighting waves of enemies. Here, it's definitely more focused on the puzzle-solving aspects with a lot of emphasis on level design, which is fantastic as it beautifully recreates Hogwarts with elements of the films and even the books. Oh, JK won't like that. Well, you know the drill here. We go through the main story, knocking out some of those not really hidden, but sorta kinda hidden, not told to you explicitly, extra missions for some gold bricks. Once I learned Reducto, finally, I went back and got all the collectibles for each film, and then I went and finished the 4th film, got all those collectibles, and that put me at about 70% completion. The collectibles are a little different here. Instead of 10 mini kits, you've got 4 house crests. You have to find a student in peril, and you've got to find 3 character tokens, which you can buy in the shop. And everything else is found at Hogwarts. That is the big thing left after story. It took about maybe 2 hours to go through every map in Hogwarts and find all of the hidden gold bricks, character tokens, students in peril, and red parcels, which are all extra abilities, the red bricks if you will. There's also a handful of collectibles to be found in Diagon Alley. Even after all of that, it still wasn't enough to get all the gold bricks. There were some that you could buy in the shop, as well as this basement room, which you can build these little statue figures which rewarded you with a brick each, but I was still 10 short. Well, I had to go to Gringotts Bank to unlock 10 bonus missions. Turns out they actually borrowed a lot from Indiana Jones 2 here. All of these bonus missions are incredibly similar puzzle solving levels, just like the preceding game, even with a level builder which uses the same exact tutorials, just with Harry Potter stuff now. Completing those 4 tutorials does earn you a trophy, and all of the bonus levels finally got me to 200, which unlocks another bonus level. Here we have Voldemort, and go around London blowing stuff up. Voldemort driving a car. Wow. And it ends with Harry's tragic origin story, killing his parents and giving him the scar. Jeez. With all of that done, we got 100%, but there's still a lot of trophies to knock out. First, we have the troll in the bathroom, which you need to defeat with Professor Quirrell. Also need to defeat Quirrell using Voldemort. A funny one is going to the library, whether in story or free roam, and turning off the music completely, as well as the game audio. Shut all of that off to earn this one. Defeat 20 enemies with Fang the dog. A good enemy farm is Forbidden Forest in the first film, which opens immediately with an enemy spawner. Might as well knock out the kill 10 enemies with a Muggle trophy while we're at it. That's right, here's Dudley fighting giant hornets. We have to run over someone 10 times. I did this at the Burrow using this friggin' pumpkin car. Speaking of this level, it feels like they borrowed a lot from the Chamber of Secrets game with these gnomes, doesn't it? While still in the second film, we can kill 20 spiders using Ron. Might as well put Snape in a barrel while we're fighting the Basilisk. Solid Snape. Gotta scare 20 students with a ghost. That's kinda unique. You also have to use one of the bonus spells, Glacius, to freeze 20 students. And there's also these trophies you'll knock out from just buying characters, like getting the Quidditch team or all of the Weasleys. This one I thought was kinda goofy. You have to earn 10 million studs in a single mission. This obviously is insanely easy with a stud multiplier, but I suppose they realized how excessive it is in this game, so they made it into a trophy. And last but not least, playing the final mission in the graveyard, kill Harry with Voldemort. And that's dark. This was definitely a lot more involved than Indiana Jones 2, taking around 20 hours, this one. But you'll notice that we didn't get plat. Well, if you're playing the PS3 or 360 version, then yeah, you would have got all the trophies. But the remastered collection decided to actually combine the trophies of both games, making there be only one plat, unfortunately. So we did get all of the trophies for years 1 through 4, at least for this version. But I'm actually going to stick with release order, so we'll come back here for the sequel after some other games which came out in between. The next bringing us back to a familiar franchise. LEGO Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. This is another game I expectedly covered in my every Star Wars video. Although I didn't actually get completion for that one at the time, I also covered it on the 360 and now we're playing the PS3 version. It's 2011 and Star Wars is going strong with the Clone Wars series. Of course, a big new series means a new line of toys. I had quite my share of these back then, and looking at this game is very nostalgic, although I applaud this title for using the traditional faces instead of the horrifying minifigure ones.
Hello there!
LEGO Clone Wars covers some aspects of the film, as well as episodes from the first 2 seasons. This brings in 3 campaigns, like most LEGO titles. Interestingly, it does open with a recreation of the Battle of Geonosis told in 2 stages. One being the arena, which has been recreated to be actually more faithful than the original game, which showcases how advanced these titles have become over the years. Now this was a pretty big milestone title because they are using a newer engine here, which can have a lot more properties in-game, creating larger scale battles and war scenes. The visuals are also noticeably improved with better lighting and in-game models. Lots of cool new stuff like being able to cut through doors with lightsabers, lightsaber throws, or improvements such as adding minigames to what used to be just pushing a button. The big complaint players had were on these new war modes, a very simplified RTS where you basically are battling for command points. It's a fun little change, something new for the series, until you realize how many of these you actually have to do. And of course, this being a game meant for all ages, It's not very challenging at all, it's more so just time consuming, which can make this get pretty boring really fast. After completing the 6 stages for the 3 campaigns, there are 3 additional levels post-game. The first is the Zillow Beast, a very memorable set of episodes from the show. The other is the final act on Tatooine from the Clone Wars movie, kinda weird to have that at the very end, which is actually rather early in the story, but sure. This one is neat because it's your first time to get to use a dark side character, Count Dooku, and the Magna Guards, which can open electronic panels. After that, it's a pretty fun mission, Hostage Crisis, based on the Season 1 finale. This one puts all the bounty hunters together with their unique abilities. I was really surprised with the sniping mechanic. There is a trophy in this mission where you have to disguise all of the characters in your party to get blend in. A good bit of trophies can be unlocked during story, such as completing missions without dying, have a commando give 50 commands to troops, shoot a torpedo, that's simple enough, do loop-de-loops with the vehicle, deploy 500 troops, and completing each story mission will earn you a trophy. For completion with the story missions, you only have to worry about 10 mini-kits per usual and the True Jedi for collecting studs. Interestingly, in this title, getting all 10 mini-kits will actually earn you a legacy character, lots of characters from the original trilogy or prequels, which while being classic characters, are remodeled using the time-relevant minifigs. What's really cool is that they also included Force Unleashed characters such as Star Killer and the beat-up Vader. That is awesome. After the story, we're at about 47 completion at this point, you'll have to do quite a bit in the free roam. There's technically 2 different hubs here. You have the Republic ship, the Resolute, and the Separatist Invisible Hand. Arriving there will earn you a trophy, and this is where I got my first Sith, Dooku. And I went ahead and knocked out the trophy, killing Anakin with Dookie. So both of these ships serve as the main hub of the game, and this is where you'll find all of your unlockable characters and red bricks. No traditional shop here, you gotta run around and wait for characters you want to spawn to buy them. The red bricks require you to solve puzzles around the ships in different rooms. There's also a brig where you'll have to release all the prisoners, being the big bads of the game, which will earn you a trophy. The next big step was completing the bounty hunter missions. Yeah, a real throwback from LEGO Star Wars 2, and it's exactly the same. You go through several stages looking for specific characters that have been hidden. Real simple and pretty quick too. Now it's cleanup time. While hunting for mini kits, I knocked out more trophies. Saberang Master, kill 5 enemies with 1 saber throw from Yoda. Destroy 50 droids while holding a super battle droid. Destroy 50 gold bricks. Steal 20 vehicles. Land a ship with Lando. Clever. We're still far off from 100% and those 130 gold bricks. So what's left? There's an assault game very reminiscent of the Galactic Assault from the Battlefronts, where you go to each of the 16 planets of the game and do ground battles. Twice. Once for the Republic and once for the Separatists. You'll get 2 trophies from doing this as well. And that's still not it. You see, all 16 planets also have a gold brick space mission. Do those, and then we will finally have 100% and gotten our next platinum trophy. In case you're curious, there's no bonus missions in this title. After getting 130 gold bricks, you unlock a ship, which is actually what earns you the 100%. This one took almost 20 hours. Man, these Star Wars ones sure end up being time consuming, huh? Still, I do like this game. Maybe it is nostalgia talking. I didn't agree with the bad rep this title got. They just can't make me hate you, LEGO Star Wars 3. They can't. LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot about this one. Not that it's a negative or a bad game. This was just kind of a short-lived collab. Not as short-lived as Prince of Persia, mind you. I did have some of these sets. I had the big Davy Jones ship, which was really cool. They did a new one not that long ago. Pirates is being thrown back into popularity with the 4th film releasing. That meaning this game does cover 4 films. I played it when it released, renting it. I didn't own this one before, so yeah, I have not touched this one since 2011. This will be interesting. You can definitely tell that this was made in a year that, well, 2 other LEGO games were being developed. It was certainly ambitious to drop 3 LEGO games in 1 year. I guess one of them had to be the lesser, and don't get me wrong, LEGO Pirates is still plenty fun, and it's definitely the weakest of 2011, and it shows in being the smallest game. It's strange since there are 4 movies to cover. That's about it. There's no real extra game modes or anything like that. It's kind of just the bare minimum. There's only 85 gold bricks in this one. I enjoyed it well enough, but there was just something about this particular title that just didn't grip me like the other ones. Maybe it was the level designs, which are just okay. I don't know. We're still going for the 10 mini kits in this one, and there's a new feature too. Jack Sparrow's Compass, in which you have to find 8 hidden items on each level. There's 5 levels per film, by the way. Most of which you'll find playing the story, but there are some locked behind free play. There's not a whole lot of unique abilities or differences here. You've got strong guys, short character doors, explosives. You've got Willie's scream mechanic reworked from Indiana Jones, returning with the mermaids. Female characters can jump higher. Now we have characters that can walk underwater, usually the fish ones or the undead ones. The hub for this game is pretty small too. It's the port, where you have a few areas you can explore if you get enough gold bricks. This is where you'll find all of the red hats or red bricks for cheats. I saved up for the money multipliers first, which actually aren't that expensive in this game. I guess they realized there wasn't enough to grind here, but funnily enough, I found an exploit for getting infinite money using the character stud cheat. I also knocked out the trophy for beating 100 enemies doing this. The big highlight for this game is the adaptation of the films in LEGO. As before stated, I'm not the biggest Pirates fan, but I did find this to be really enjoyable story mode all in all. Seeing the moments that I do remember recreated cleverly, and now for what we're here for, the trophies. We start off easy enough, getting eaten by a shark. This can happen on just about any stage by swimming too far into the ocean. The next couple were rather interesting, all in the first level of the game. First, we had to beat the level with no money at all. 0 studs at the final count. That's a first. To do this, you had to avoid as much money as possible playing the level, and then just keep dying until you're at 0 at the very end of the stage. Which unfortunately makes the next trophy trickier, in which you have to beat the first level without dying. So yeah, we're gonna have to replay this one. The next few were pretty standard. Perform 5 backflips, hit a bird with a coconut, watch a sunset, which I'm pretty sure is unmissable, and find all 8 compass items, which you have to do in free play anyway. I knocked out that one in a story playthrough with mission 4. That's 3 trophies I got in that mission alone. However, it wouldn't be until the end of the second film that I would get the next trophy, which is being eaten by the Kraken 10 times. Movie 3 is also where I knocked out 100 cannonballs. And that was the last trophy I got in story mode. And besides for the obvious beating missions ones. So around this point, I went around the port unlocking characters. Not as fun as Star Wars 3 here, unfortunately, as the spawn rates aren't really ideal. You just kind of have to wait around the general area, or reload the area, until characters you want show up. There we go. Now we can whip Will 5 times. That's messed up. After unlocking all the characters, I went to the sea to use all of the underwater characters and have them walk around for a bit. Now it's time to grind free play. There's a trophy we can get by turning on all extras for a single mission. The collectibles in general weren't super hard to find in this title. It was a pretty relaxed experience, but there were some annoying stages, not a big deal, and some that had hidden sections that may not have been as obvious as others. I also had to make sure to keep extra toggle turned on, because there's a trophy using this. This feature has been around for a while, but I never really bothered with it in the older games. What this is certain stages in free play will let you play extra characters that you can't unlock in the roster. Characters exclusive to those stages. You had to use all of those for a trophy. What I did is I just cycled through all of the characters in every mission. You should unlock the trophy by doing such. In the final stage, I got the trophy for finding all rideable creatures. After getting all mini-kits, a trophy didn't unlock right away. You actually have to go to the pier and use the mini-kits, which are these little ships. It's a shame we didn't get an actual ship minigame here. We got this. Yay! This is also where you'll find the final 4 gold bricks. Once you get 84, you'll unlock the bonus mission, which is inspired by the Pirates ride. Here you'll face off in 3 stages against the main bosses of the films. I actually really enjoyed this stage, and a good money haul too. Once that's done, you'll get the final gold brick and earn 100%. This one took me 17 hours, but if you're determined enough, this could be done easily around 12. Maybe even less, to be honest. It is a small game. This one ended up being more linear than Indy 2, actually. Still, it's a solid LEGO game, bugs and flaws aside. I'm sure Pirates fans would probably consider this to be the best video game of the Pirates of the Caribbean series. Or maybe not, I don't know, I only played like 1 or 2 of them. Let me know in the comments which was your favorite. Lego Harry Potter years 5 through 7. Now it's time for us to finish the rest of the Lego Harry Potter series. These are the darker films where Harry is getting older and his stories are maturing. This is also where the Harry Potter video games were getting really awkward. I don't really like to think of this one as being better or worse than the first game. I'm definitely more nostalgic for the first, absolutely. But there's a lot of improvements that this title made. Really though, I just like to look at them as one big old complete package. There are certainly some odd choices, like having to relearn spells. Seriously, Harry, you learned Reducto just in the previous year and you've already forgotten it? I get it. The game can't let you access stuff too early, yada yada. I do like that the tips of the wands glow now based on what spell you have highlighted. That's really cool. They also updated the character models to now match the newer Lego minifigs of the time, which is cool, kind of considering how this is when the characters are supposed to be getting older. They did add in this dueling minigame, which I actually thought was pretty fun. It really exaggerates the whole beam struggles of the wands, but it was a neat little addition. You know, interestingly enough also, this is the first Lego game to have DLC. Like the predecessor, we have 4 films, each with 6 stages. The same collectibles are to be found, 4 Hogwarts crests, a student in peril, and 3 character tokens. There's also free roam, which contains different missions and lessons. Hogwarts has been adjusted, although quite a bit is still borrowed from the previous game. There's new outdoor hubs, such as the Outer Gate of Hogwarts, the Streets of London, Platform 5 3/4, and of course, Diagon Alley. When you beat the main story, you'll have an indicator in each area to show you what collectibles you might be missing. A gold brick, student in peril, and different ranges of character tokens. This was a pretty easy completion. I knocked this one out in about 3 days. The longest part was getting through the story, which did feel a lot longer, actually, than the last few games I've played. At least this Deathly Hallows isn't a shooter. There were a couple trophies I got during the story as well, besides for the obvious complete mission ones. Defeating Bellatrix with Sirius in the finale of Book 5. In Deathly Hallows, you can actually visit Hogwarts via other characters, and doing so earns you a trophy. Also, make sure to have Harry and Hermione dance in the tent. By the time I got to Deathly Hallows Part 2, I could finally go around and get all the red bricks for money multipliers. So it didn't take long to earn the 1 billion coins trophy. After the main story, I went through free play, getting all the collectibles that I could. During my free roam excursion, I got the Quibbler trophy using the Spectre Specs dispenser 25 times. Also went ahead and cleared the bonus level in Nocturne Alley. Surprisingly, this is your traditional Lego City type mission. It's been a while since we've seen one of those. Going around blowing stuff up for 1,000,000 studs. This time the map is full of actual Lego sets. This was bittersweet for me because I used to have all of these, except the Diagon Alley one. Once I cleared every area, I moved on to free play story. This was also a pretty relaxed run without any super tedious collectibles. I knocked out the trophy for killing 30 of these mushroom guys, and I also got defeating Bellatrix with Waiter Neville. I was starting to get concerned by the point I reached the last film though, because I realized that I was coming up a little short. And I did! I got everything done, but I was missing 2 characters and 1 gold brick. Yeah, that'll be great. I gotta explore everything again to find the 1 gold brick I'm missing, and it turns out it was at the lake. I forgot about it. I got the red brick there earlier, but not the other stuff. And boom. 200 gold bricks, which earns you a little Lego Hogwarts that spits out infinite money. I went and bought all the characters. This will earn you a couple trophies, but I had 2 trophies left to clear. The first was kill every variant of Harry using Voldemort. That's funny. And then the other was using a Weasley box with every Weasley. We got Plat. And it's time to say goodbye to Hogwarts, as this is the last we'll have a HP related Lego game. This combined with the first still proved to be the best of the Harry Potter games. And that's also our final non-talking Lego game. With the next installment, we will have moved on to fully voice-acted stories. So, that's where I'm going to end this part, which I consider to be the end of the classic era of Lego games, the non-verbal days. In the next part, we've got a couple for me to revisit, but then we'll be moving on to games that I've never played before. Which of the classics was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It really helps my channel out a lot. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell to get notifications on new videos when they come out. Be sure to keep up with my socials to see whatever I'm ranting about. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.